The previous owner of my Rallye 350 had used trim rings on the wheels, and the fingers on the inside of the trim rings had chipped up the paint on the wheels pretty badly. I'm not going to use trim rings, so I need to sand the wheels and repaint them. The spare didn't have any chips on the rim, but since I was repainting the other four wheels, I decided to go ahead and paint the spare as well. The inside of the rear wheels were really grimy, and it was kind of the signs that I might have leaking wheel cylinders. So the first step in getting the wheels ready to paint was to clean the inside of the wheels. Once the inside of the wheels were cleaned, then I moved to sanding out the chips, and I sanded the wheels by hand. Didn't really see any way to use a power tool to help me, so I grabbed some 80 grit sandpaper and sanded the chips out. And then I worked my way down to 320 grit sandpaper as I sanded all of the chips out of the wheels. I taped off the back of the wheel and then the front of the wheel to keep any paint off the tires. Would have been a lot easier if I would have had the tires off the wheels, but that's not the way it worked out, so this is what I had to do. And then I primed the front of the wheels and then flipped the wheel back over and got ready to paint the back. I used Krylon Gloss Sunbeam to paint the back of the wheels. It's not an exact match for Sebring Yellow, but it's close enough where in the back of the wheels, with the wheels on the car, you're not going to see it. And it's very close in color, and it's just cost effective. Automotive paint's very expensive, and I didn't want to spend the money to paint the back of the wheels. Alright, part one of painting the wheels is done. The front of the wheels are primed, and the back of the wheels are painted with Krylon Gloss Sunbeam. I let the primer cure for a couple days, and then I wet sanded the primer to get a nice smooth finish. To save myself some time and effort, I made these cardboard cutouts to place into the inside of the wheels. That way I won't have to tape off the back of the wheels. I placed the cutout in the back of the wheel and then taped around the outside of the cutout. That way no paint can leak past the cutout. I taped off the front of the wheels. I made a mask so that any paint overspray would stay off the tire. And I taped off all 5 wheels before I started painting. And then I just stacked them up because I was going to paint the wheels one at a time. Took the hood tooth down to the automotive paint store to get some paint mixed up. And at first we used the book for the formula to see how that looked. And then they scanned the color and mixed that up and to check to see how that looked. And it ended up, the formula in the book was a closer match, and that's what we went with. I had to mix up a quart of acrylic urethane, single stage paint, and I got some hardener and a quart of reducer, and those 3 items was $150. So I want to use automotive paint where I have to use it, and the Krylon on the back of the wheels because it's just more cost effective. And so I painted all 5 wheels with automotive paint for the outside, so there's a nice color match with the exterior of the car, and also for durability. And yes, I painted them outside. I have to paint outside with using a spray gun. Because if I did it in my little garage, I just trash the garage, and I have 2 other cars in there, so can't do that. Since I had the paint mixed up and I was spraying paint, wanted to paint a set of bumper bolts. The car has chrome bumper bolts. I don't know why, but it does. First, I sprayed the bumper bolts with Plasti Dip Daytona Yellow. I figured the Plasti Dip would adhere to the chrome surface of the bolt much better than paint alone, and then I just painted over the top of the Plasti Dip. I'll install these new bumper bolts sometime in the future when I get around to that point in the project. Let the wheels sit out in the Arizona sun for a couple days, and in the meantime, I cleaned up all the shiny bits that go back on the wheels. I put the wheels back together, and after it was all done, they looked pretty nice, and I have to say, it was worth the effort. The black in the taillight lenses needed some touch-up, so I removed all the lenses, and I was surprised to see there were amber bulbs installed in the rear taillights. So I replaced those with clear bulbs. Washed the taillight lenses with Dawn dish soap. I gave them a light scuff with some 400 grit and then started to tape them off. And here's some examples of the areas that need to be repainted. And all four lenses, they had similar issues. I repainted the lenses and the lens screws with Krylon flat black spray paint. And after spraying the lenses, they look a lot better. And here's a few photos of the repainted lenses reinstalled in the taillights. Bought a new windshield molding set for my car. The windshield molding that came on the car when I bought it looked like someone had installed it with a hammer. It's all full of dents, so that wasn't going to do. So I installed the new windshield trim, and it just looks a lot nicer. Well, that's it for this segment. I'm going to be working on brakes next.